as I say, it was built for the sole use of the so-called colored people of South Africa. Now, colored people are those of mixed racial origin, and which constitutes the majority of the population in Cape Town. Do you know that? All right. Now, of course, the majority of the population of Cape Town, because Cape Town was the meeting point of the nations, historically, because of the ships that passed by here. There was the Dutch East India Company, who was operating between Holland, and the East, trading and so forth. So they set up this halfway station, in Cape Town, and the first Dutch that arrived here to colonize South Africa was on the 6th of April, 1652. Now, from then onwards, there was what we call the mixture of the races. And therefore, when the South African government classified the people of South Africa, first of all, they had the white community, then they had what we call the indigenous African community, and then the Asian or Indian community, and then the colored community. And the whole of South Africa was subdivided geographically into these four components. That is, every town, every city has been demarcated to cater for these four races. And the whole apartheid philosophy was that each group should exist separately. That is what apartheid means. They must be kept apart on the basis of race. That is the basic philosophy of apartheid. And in around about 1961, the government promulgated a law, it was known as the Group Areas Act. And through this law, they allocated the areas in each town and each city according to the racial group. Separate schools had to be opened, everything had to be separate. Right up to public transport, separate buses, separate trains. We travel the same train, but only say 2 or 3 carriages reserved for the non-white population, the rest for the white population, that kind of thing. I'm sure you know a bit of the whole apartheid story. But now, as far as hotels is concerned, all the hotels were reserved for white people only. All the restaurants were also reserved for white people only. We had to buy through a back window if you wanted to buy anything from a restaurant, especially when you travel. You couldn't go into a restaurant and go and have your meal. You had to buy a back window. That is how we did. And if you traveled with a colleague, like for example in the church, sometimes we would travel with our white colleagues, to a conference or to a synod of the church. Then we had problems, because only my white colleague could go into the restaurant, I couldn't go. Then he had to go to buy food, and then we had to eat it in the car. Or if it was a long journey, he could sleep in the hotel, I had to sleep in the car. That is basically, what apartheid meant. And so, this hotel, well, let me put it this way. This hotel, in fact, recently I got even the more correct history of this hotel. It was first built for the white community, because this was many white people living in this area. So when they had to allocate areas, this was declared a colored area. So the white people had to sell this hotel to the colored community. And so there was a family there who bought this and then turned this into the only colored hotel in the whole of South Africa. Now, Nelson Mandela was set free in 1990. We all set free. Since then, people could now stay in any hotel in South Africa. And as a result, this hotel became redundant, because you'd go for the nicer hotel, with the Breakwater Lodge and those places, around the beachfront. Okay? So in 2000, one day I was about to drive past this hotel and had my two younger daughters in the rear seat of the car, and there was a board up saying for sale. And then something within me said that I must stop, have a look. I shared it with my two daughters. They were not impressed with me. They were basically saying, "Daddy, we are tired, we're going to go home." In other words, "Daddy, you haven't got money to buy a hotel. What's the point of going to have a look?" But anyway, they gave me permission to come and have a look. A manager showed me around, and there came the vision that I must buy this hotel and then convert it into an international leadership training center. No money in the pocket, but you see, I applied a fundamental leadership principle which I learned in 1985 in Singapore when I attended the Hagar Institute for Advanced Leadership Training, and it is this: God gives the vision to a leader. People have the resources to help the leader to accomplish the vision. Therefore, the leader must share the vision with God's people. How about that? Isn't that correct? You might have I have no money in my pocket. My daughters were right. "Daddy, what's the point?" But yes, I applied that principle, shared the vision with friends internationally, and then a major miracle has happened. That is, in July 2003, Health Ministries took transfer of this hotel, and at that point it was fully paid. How about that? No bond involved, no debt involved, fully paid, and also it was, in fact, by that time, most of the major renovations was already done. And because the reason why we could take over the hotel, because a major miracle happened. At the most crucial point, having shared the vision with a Methodist Church congregation in Connecticut, where my protege was a Methodist minister, from this little Sunday school group with whom I shared the vision, a husband and wife, a couple, handed over to my protege a check for $500,000 US to enable me to pay for the balance owing on this hotel. How about that? That was a major miracle. And as a result, here now, we have a facility, and the vision here is to establish what is known as the Health Ministries International College for Healing and Evangelism and Leadership, where we shall provide specialized training, a one-month course for community leaders coming from internationally. And we're hoping, all being well, to launch that in February next year. And for that, I'm going to give you a copy of the prospectus. In case you want to come, after you've done your honors degree, you can come here for a month. You can come, just pass it on, take one, pass one. Okay? Oh, heavy, yeah? Oh, let me help you. Okay, take one, pass on, and also you can pass on the message to others, you know. A one-month course in healing, evangelism, and leadership, divided up into 4 units, so that if you cannot come for the full month, you can come for 1 week at a time. You can make your choice. If you want to study just leadership, you can come for the week on leadership. If you want to do on the healing, you can do the healing course. And on evangelism, those of you who want any interest in that field, you can come to that. And of course, the 4th week is the practical part. And during the practical part, one of the practical training that we are going to give is all the participants, we're hoping to train 70 per month, will then go to the soup kitchen and experience how we go about, you know, feeding 5,000 school children every day and 1,000 unemployed adults, so that they can learn from us or learn the modus operandi and then return to their communities all over South Africa, Africa, Latin America, the world, to start similar soup kitchens, so that eventually millions of children will be fed around the world. That is the vision. And I want you just to bear that in mind, because you are involved, with us as far as the soup kitchen project is concerned. In other words, our soup kitchen that you're going to visit just now, and you can take a brochure on that, on the soup kitchen. I'm not available in case somebody wants me. Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah, okay. That's for the soup kitchen. Okay. Right. So that is it, right? All right, that's the soup kitchen project. All right. So take one, pass it on. Now, this is the project that that you are particularly focusing on and involved in. And you'll see some familiar faces, in this brochure. And as I say, when you see the project, do not see it as an end in itself, but rather as a model or as a prototype, as one architect described it, to which we are going to bring leaders from internationally for training, so that they can go back to the communities all over the world and establish similar soup kitchens. Because a soup kitchen is one of the easiest ways to feed starving people anywhere in the world. A mug of soup can keep a person alive, even if he doesn't have any other food for the day. Because in that mug of soup you put in everything. It's like a multivitamin complex. And that nourishment can make a difference to a person's life. As you will see some of the children whom we are feeding and members of the community, this has brought what we call light into their lives. And you are, West University, you are on this program, you are involved actually in this kind of project. And already, just want to say thank you for your support as a university over the years. I think it's almost more than 10 years now that Kevin, that we made through this journey here. And also my apologies that I was not able to join you with South Africa 8 Day this year, because I had to go to Singapore to attend a memorial service of a mother who has been praying for me daily for 20 years. She was interceding for me for 20 years. She was an invalid. She had a pin in her leg. She fell. For 20 years I've been visiting Singapore regularly, at least once a year, and then minister to her. And so I had to attend. And that family is one of my main supporters of the soup kitchen project as well, over the years. So I'm sure you'll understand that there was a priority for me, that I had to go there. So that's fine. All right. Okay. So that is good news. Appointment has just been cancelled. That's very nice. I have more time for you. All right. Thank you very much. So that is now actually where the soup kitchen project fits in. And really, this is what I would have said, if I was there, at your South Africa Day. We commend you for your efforts, for your involvement, for your support. Doesn't matter how big, how small, but just the idea that you are identifying with the needs, of people here in Africa. Our project is one of the few projects you're involved in, but you are to be commended. Others, you are doing something. It's doing something is better than doing nothing. Isn't that so? And because by what you are doing, you're making a difference for at least one person that is well worth doing. Last week I accompanied my pastoral assistant into the pastoral community soon after I returned from Singapore. And my word, I was touched afresh by the challenge of having to feed, those who are starving in our communities in Cape Town. When I arrived there, the children and adults were saying, Pastor, thank you very much for coming because we had no food for tonight. And that touched me. And they were so happy to receive, that soup because there was no food for tonight. Others would have gone to bed, no food. And so this is the kind of community that we are helping, that we are feeding. So thank you very much for what you're doing, and thank you for your visit. And so within the time span that we have, until 2 o'clock, we shall give you a bit of an exposure to the project. Now, just to come back to this project. Something interesting has happened since I last saw you all. An organization known as Passionate About People approached us and said, can they lease some of our lecture rooms in this building to provide training for young adults. That means those who have completed their matriculation, their high schooling, young adults, to provide training for them, skills training in retail and wholesale. And this organization offers a 3-month crash course for those who are unemployed in those two subjects, retail and wholesale. That means that they can be trained in how to set up their own businesses. As a result, now in this building we have about 11 lecture room space. So we have agreed to have them on board. And right now we have 160 students in this building. Over there. And they are receiving this training, and the organization will be repeating that 3-month course until Thy kingdom comes. We don't know. But we are supporting that idea. We suspended some of our own programs because here is now an organization who provides this training, and I don't know what you've heard us say. Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Right. Teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Not only him, but everybody around him, his family, etc., etc. So we're doing both now. We're providing the training, and of course there is our own college, for which there's still space in this building that we're going to run as well. These two institutions operating here, providing training as for those who are unemployed, and equipping nations so they can be able to fend for themselves. Okay? So that is what is happening here. Alright. Any questions? Any burning question at this point? Alright, just to give you an idea, you're sitting around the restaurant sitting down. This is open to the public, alright? Sorry we're not going to take you with a nice meal here now, alright? But just to show you the transformation that took place in this place's hotel, how it would be transformed. First of all, this where you're sitting now was the liquor store of the former hotel. It was the off sales, we call it off sales, or liquor store or drug, what do you call it in the USA? The way you sell liquor? Liquor store? Yes. Now this was a liquor store, that was the cellar of the liquor store, the cold room was over there, and we converted this into a restaurant for the public. Inside there was a store of the liquor store, but that we converted into a function room for the community. That means their weddings, birthdays, conference facilities, everything is happening in that room. What the outside building that you'll see, that was the nightclub of the former hotel, which was quite a menace to the community. Operated from Wednesday till Sunday, till Sunday night. And a problem for the community around here, they couldn't sleep, they were woken up with cars hooting 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning. And so it was quite a problem. Even students having to go to the library next door, they couldn't work out because vagrants were sitting around here, all for the liquor. They had about 6 outlets here. Embassy bar, sportsman's bar, bar and nightclub. It was just liquor from front to back. Now that dried out. And we're offering living water now in this place. Alright? So totally transformed to what is now a community center as well. Because the community uses it for various functions and so on. Well folks, as about 15 years ago, I felt the need to be released from local congregational involvement and pastoral care, and asked my church to release me from the local congregation responsibility and to do this help ministries on a full-time basis. Because the help ministries vision is one which was given to me as far back as 1991. When I was attending our annual church conference, and while the bishop there was addressing us, there became the vision that I must establish a help center which would operate a number of projects to demonstrate the caring for the whole person. That was the vision, 1991. And so 15 years ago, the moment came when I felt the need now to work on that vision full time. So I stepped out in faith. I had to leave what we call my comfort zone as a Methodist minister, where they provided with a house and everything. Step out in faith with my family. And then we had to, first of all, to find a place where my family could live, and secondly, where we could operate the vision. And this house went on sale at that point. And then when I came to have a look, there came the vision that was buy this house and convert this as the headquarters of Help Ministries International Trust. So in 1998, January 1998, we started here full time, we lived here. And then here we operated. For example, this whole area here became the venue for Sunday evening healing services for the public. And we could get about 80 to 90 chairs in here. And of course, a screen was there, and we did this. Secondly, we started here the Help Ministry International College. We had evening classes for our whole year program. Lectures had happened here. This is also the counseling center. That means people could come here and be counseled. And then fourthly, the soup kitchen project was started here. Now, we had a garage there. I'll explain that to you when we get there, more detail. Garage, was a maid's room at the back, car on front. And then we started off with 4 pots of soup. And then of course developed it to now that we have the capacity to feed, say, 6,000 persons every day. There's 44 gas burners there. Sometimes we're not always able to feed the whole number because of lack of funds, but we have never stopped. There's always enough to carry on. And of course, our goal always is to feed the 6,000. All right? And you folks, for the past 10 years, your college have been helping us by what you did to keep those soup pots boiling. There was never a day that we could say there was no soup. Always soup for the needy. And the unemployed who will gather here at 1 o'clock, that we have been able to keep going since 1998. And of course, the soup kitchen itself project started when I arrived in Cape Town, back in Cape Town, to take pastoral charge of a number of congregations. Then we started this actual soup kitchen in 1990 in the congregation, one of my congregations, and in the community which you shall be visiting today. That means, in that community, we then started with 2 pots of soup 1 day a week. And then, of course, it's now multiplied now that we have 44 gas burners, 44 pots, we can now feed 6,000. All right? In other words, from this, we can just learn a principle. I know there There are so many needy people out there in the world, but as I always refer this to, Dr. Martin Luther King quoted this in his speech, one of his speeches: if I can help somebody, then my living is not in vain. In fact, I like that song, that hymn, it's a hymn. If I can help somebody, then my living is not in vain. That just make a difference for one person, and then it's well worth living. All right? I just wanted to show you where we started, and of course, it was a step in faith. My friends in Singapore helped me to purchase this house, and it's all by faith, just sharing the need, and then people step in. And of course, the kitchen equipment, part of that equipment was sponsored by a Christian brother from Malaysia and from Singapore, and the vehicle that you see, the van, also sponsored by one friend in Singapore. This year, unfortunately, died in a tragic motor car accident in China. She was a business person, and so forth. So in other words, is that, and also from the USA, friends sending their donations, big and small. That is what's helped. As far as the super ingredients concerned, yes, there is the financial support which helps us to purchase ingredients and pay for expenses like gas, electricity, or transport, and all that. But we're also approaching businesses to donate what we call dated foods. In that way, we supplement, our income, and we are connected with the food bank as well. They unfortunately have financial problems to keep the operation going, so we only receive now once in a while, from the food bank. But I visited them, and I'm going to try and cooperate with them too, and see how I can help them in what they are doing, because they are helping to distribute food to many other charities in Cape Town. Right. Well, that's just a brief word just to share with you where we started in our day. All right. Now we're going to go back through that front door into the kitchen, and there we will get going. The Montana